David Carter had learned long ago that real strength wasn't measured by money. 5 years earlier, his wealthy family had offered him a luxurious life inside Carter Global Industries, one of the largest companies in the country. Instead, David walked away to raise his newborn daughter, Emma, after his wife passed away during childbirth. While the media believed the Carter heir had disappeared forever, David quietly worked ordinary jobs, believing his daughter deserved a father more than the company deserved another executive. Unknown to the public, his mother, billionaire founder Eleanor Carter, had grown older and wanted to know who truly deserved to inherit her empire. Rather than announcing David's return, she secretly invited him to test the company's leadership from the ground up. David entered headquarters wearing worn work boots, gray overalls, and carrying a janitor's cleaning cart. Nobody recognized him. Employees barely looked at him. Some ignored him. Others laughed. Only a few greeted him kindly. David smiled at everyone anyway. The company's CEO, Richard Lawson, had controlled Carter Global for years. Ambitious and arrogant, he believed Eleanor would eventually hand him complete authority over the corporation. Richard despised ordinary workers. He often insulted cleaners, security guards, and cafeteria staff. To him, only executives mattered. On David's very first morning, he noticed an elderly receptionist struggling to lift several heavy supply boxes. Without hesitation, David put down his mop and carried everything himself. The receptionist thanked him with tears in her eyes. Several employees secretly admired his kindness. Unfortunately, Richard walked past at exactly the wrong moment. "What are you doing standing around?" Richard shouted. David politely explained he was helping another employee. Richard rolled his eyes. "I don't pay janitors to waste company time. Clean the floors or leave." David simply nodded. "I understand." Throughout the week, David quietly observed everything. He watched managers taking credit for employees' ideas. He saw supervisors bullying interns. He discovered department heads manipulating financial reports. Most disturbing of all, Richard constantly approved expensive executive bonuses while reducing benefits for lower-paid workers. David carefully wrote down everything. Every evening he reported directly to his mother. Eleanor listened silently. Neither revealed his identity. Then came Friday. Richard arrived in an especially foul mood after investors questioned declining employee satisfaction scores. Searching for someone to blame, he spotted David polishing the lobby floor. Richard stormed across the marble entrance. "You again?" David calmly looked up. "Yes, sir." Richard kicked David's cleaning bucket across the lobby. Water splashed everywhere. Employees froze. Richard pointed toward the exit. "You're incompetent." "But sir, I don't want excuses. You've embarrassed this company long enough. You're fired." Everyone watched silently. No one defended the quiet janitor. David slowly removed his work gloves. He smiled politely. "If that's your decision, I wish everyone here the best." He walked away without anger. Richard laughed proudly. "That's how you deal with useless employees." The following Monday morning, every executive received an urgent meeting invitation directly from Eleanor Carter herself. Nobody had seen the billionaire founder in months. Rumors spread throughout headquarters. The boardroom filled with nervous executives. Richard confidently adjusted his expensive tie. He expected praise. Instead, Eleanor entered with David walking beside her. This time David wore a perfectly tailored navy suit. Every conversation stopped instantly. Richard stared in disbelief. Eleanor smiled. "I would like everyone to meet my son." She paused. "And the rightful heir of Carter Global Industries." Silence. Richard's face turned white. Several executives nearly dropped their tablets. Employees exchanged shocked glances. The janitor was the billionaire heir. Eleanor continued. "For the past week David has been testing this company's culture from the lowest position possible." She projected hundreds of security videos onto the large screen. Everyone watched Richard insulting employees. Managers stealing ideas. Executives lying. Financial misconduct. Workplace bullying. Every moment had been documented. David quietly stood beside his mother. He said nothing. The evidence spoke louder than words. Eleanor turned toward Richard. "You fired my son because he helped people instead of pretending to be important." Richard tried to apologize. I didn't know." David answered calmly. "That's exactly the problem. You shouldn't need to know someone's wealth before treating them with respect." Security entered. Richard was immediately dismissed. Several dishonest executives followed. Weeks later, Carter Global looked completely different. Employee benefits improved. Anonymous idea programs rewarded innovation. Managers completed leadership training. Every employee, from janitors to directors, received equal respect. David officially became the company's new president. Yet every Monday morning, he still arrived an hour early. He walked through the building carrying the same old mop. New employees often asked why. Veteran workers simply smiled, because our president never wants to forget where true leadership begins. Emma often visited after school. She loved pushing her father's old cleaning cart through the lobby. One afternoon she asked, "Dad, why do you still keep that mop?" David smiled, "Because this mop reminds me that titles don't make great people. Kindness does." The employees applauded, not because he was a billionaire, but because he had earned their respect long before they ever knew his name. And from that day forward, nobody in Carter Global ever looked down on a cleaner again.